greatest shots never on this show. Joel Embiid would like a word in that conversation. And Ice Trey is stopping by. Is he healthy enough for the Hawks playoff push? That was a scary ankle injury last night. And is Coach Tom Thibodeau the new Zen master? Hear us out here, although that Photoshop is worth it all on its own. And you've heard of Kyrie Irving, but what about Kylie Irving?
Ooh.
Oh yeah, watch your ankles because the jump starts now. Welcome to The Jump. I'm Rachel Nichols alongside NBA champion, and he now has the ring to prove it. We made sure that happened last year. Matt Barnes, and also our senior NBA writer, insider, all of the things, Ramona Shelburne.
Right.
We have got so much on deck today, starting with the back cover. Let's start here. The back cover of the New York Post, not for the faint of heart. Having a bad day, they'll make it worse.
Right.
Having a conflict, yeah, they'll rile it up. And I'm not even going to get into the Post cover after the big press conference Tom Brady gave during the whole Deflategate thing. You people have Google. You can look it up. This is a family show. But while New York's tabloids may often be merciless, when they do give their seal of approval, it means something. And so it was nice to see this morning's great headline commemorating the Knicks' longest winning streak since 2014. Something genuinely wonderful is happening with this team. And yeah, part of it is just what we've been talking about all season. After spending so long as one of the most poorly run organizations in sports, the Knicks are actually a functional franchise now. But it is more than that. It's the way this team is winning, with that kind of effort that has made them one of the strongest defensive teams in the league, with execution and cohesion that allows them to often be greater than the sum of their parts. No, this team does not have two MVPs like the one across the East River, but they do have players who are pushing the boundaries of how to be their best selves, most notably Julius Randle, whose expansion of his game from distance has fueled what has been a remarkable career resurgence. Coming into this season, Randle's career average from behind the three-point line, 29.5%. This year, 41%, one of the most notable single-season jumps in league history. Honestly, it's extremely rare for players to make any sort of jump of that magnitude in their seventh seasons. Usually by that point, a player has had so many chances to grow that if they haven't done it already, they're just not gonna. But of course, nothing about this past year and a half has been usual for anybody. And when the NBA shut down last March and Randle didn't find himself playing again for 9 months, he used the time to relentlessly rework his game. So it was fitting that on his way to dropping 40 last night in an OT win over the Hawks, Randle's first shot of the night was a step-back three. He only looked better from there, and he got a little help from Elfrid Payton here. Take a look. Right? He looks at the bench before the pass, right? He looks at the bench even before it goes in the hoop.
I love that. There's confidence in your teammate. Him and Derrick Rose are playing great together, too.
Derrick Rose, vintage floaters there, and a 6-for-6 run in the second quarter. Still, the Hawks proved just as gritty last night, and even an injury scare to Trae Young didn't slow them down much. Watch Young being helped off the court here with an ankle sprain, and we're going to get an update from Young himself when he stops by the show a little bit later. But even last night, we got the news that it was not a major injury. Here was Young's tweet after getting his ankle scanned, quote, "God had my back with this one. We be back soon. We move." Meanwhile, as Young was getting treatment, the game went into overtime, and that's when Randle again powered through the Knicks. This is a nice three and a nice pass there, too, to help seal the game. It's notable Randle has remained able to play so well at the end of games, considering this is a Tibbs team, which means Randle is leading the league in minutes. And it's also notable that with the win last night, the Knicks are now sitting in the East 4 spot, giving them home court advantage in a potential first-round playoff matchup. Even the tabloids agree. What's possible for this team just keeps skyrocketing. Get ready for some fun back covers in the months ahead. All right, so Matt, does Julius Randle make your All-NBA cut because you are looking at a competitive court?
Yes, he's been playing great. Probably the most improved player in the game. I don't know if he makes All-NBA, but he's right there, definitely second team. I love his ability to expand his game and really kind of spread his wings. You know what I mean? In LA, I saw flashes. In New Orleans, you saw some more flashes, and all those flashes are kind of starting to turn into fireworks now. And you definitely got to credit Tibbs for empowering him. And this kid's a monster, man. I love to see the growth.
You know, he wrote a story in the Players Tribune a little while ago, Rach, where he talked about, I don't think I knew what went into being the number one option on a team until this year. And it's not just about, okay, I got to be the guy, I got to score every night. It's, I got to do all the other things that go into leading a team. And I think he's really done that this year. Remember his history, though. He was the consolation prize for the Knicks. And they did not get Kevin Durant, and they didn't get Kyrie Irving. They didn't even get a meeting with Kawhi Leonard. They decided to fly out to Los Angeles, and kind of realizing they weren't going to get any of the three guys. They make an offer to Julius Randle, and this is what's interesting about this contract he signed. His contract for next year is not even fully guaranteed. Only $4 million of his contract is guaranteed. They have a pickup date in this summer, July and August, where they can decide to pick up their full $20 million. They also have some bonuses he has to hit, but that's what they thought of him when they signed him. Now, some of that was positioning themselves to have enough free agency room in free agency. But I think he's played so well. Like, he can do a 4-year, $100 million extension this summer.
Yeah.
If they offer that to him, is he your number one guy or is he your number two guy? I think he's played so well, you actually have to have that conversation. Now, maybe you don't need to chase somebody else in free agency.
That'll be a good question. I
Feeling
think
on
that's
that?
a great question. I think he might need one more guy to ride with him, but I love what he's been able to do out there. Like I said, to have your team in the fourth position, Knicks fans aren't accustomed to this in a long time. So I'm happy to see. I think LeBron said it too, just basketball is better when the Knicks are relevant, and they're definitely doing a great job this season.
Yep, absolutely. And you saw that list with the front court players. It is a crowded field, but he is definitely making his case. And I'm not even asking about most improved player because I think he's got it locked up. I really do. And it's just such a great example of the way hard work pays off and that it's never too late, right? I mean, the feeling in the NBA so often is like, oh, we know who everyone is by year 5. Well, that's not true for basketball players. It's not true for all of us as people. Like, I mean, it's
a lot of it depends on your situation, and you see. And I brought this up before, but that Laker young core, they did a great job drafting. Those kids just didn't get a chance to spread their wings there. So you're seeing Ingram come into his own. You're obviously seeing Randall come into his own. Josh Hart, Lonzo's been up and down with injury, but Lonzo's actually spread his wings too. So a lot of this stuff that people want to give up on in 2 or 3 years because they haven't met some kind of expectation. A lot of it depends on your surroundings, and these guys have found good situations, and they've been able to show what kind of talented players they are.
Well, there are a lot of guys on that team that are fun to watch. Knicks rookie Emmanuel Quickley said that Coach Tibbs declared a, quote, blackout day for today and was considering revoking the players' key card access to the practice facility. He hopes the team will take a day off to rest. I just want to reiterate that. Tibbs is preaching rest. Ramona, those words have never come out of my mouth before. Has his success with this young team more a byproduct of him evolving as a coach or just simply leading the team in the manner that he feels is right on the day he feels it?
I think he's really evolved, Rachel. I mean, you saw him. We were always out here in Los Angeles. When he was off, when he was done in Minnesota and he had a couple of years to kind of think about what he wanted to, he was always here in LA in Doc Rivers' locker room. He was traveling around the league trying to learn from other coaches, other programs and how they ran their operations. I also think you have to credit Leon Rose here. This is what happens when you have two people from the player agent world. Leon Rose, World Wide West. In that spot where they say they know what players want. They know what's important to players, and I think you could say that, but it's another thing to do it. And we talked about Julius Randle earlier. Julius Randle's agent is Aaron Mintz. Aaron Mintz worked very closely with Leon Rose when they were both at CAA. So I think that really helped to do the buy-in, for all of those players to buy in, and then not only buy in, but back it up organizationally. Like when you say you're going to do something and then you actually do it, it means a lot.
I think this is kind of Tibbs 2.0. You hear notoriously that he's an old school coach, tough. But I think this day and age is that old school stuff is kind of out the window. So I think he's been able to, like Ramona said, kind of fine tune his principles, understand what he wants to give. And then he kind of took a step back, which I think is important because you hear, horror stories, so to speak. And I've never got a chance to play for Tibbs. I don't have anything, bad to say about him, but you hear stories. But I think now more than ever, this is the players' league. And I think he kind of understands that. And he's taken his foot off the gas a little bit and kind of been more of okay, guys, what are we doing instead of this is what we are doing.
I also think, Rach, this is a staff. It's not just Tibbs. You have to remember, there's Johnny Bryan on this staff. Kenny Payne's on this staff. There's Darren Erman's on this staff. Tibbs has empowered his staff to do a lot more this time, and also just relationship building with players. So Kenny Payne knew Julius Randle in Kentucky, knew Emmanuel Quickley. When you have guys who connect with players who do really well. Talk about Johnny Bryant in Utah. Ask Donovan Mitchell about him.
Yep. No, absolutely. That relationship really Donovan has credited for why he got such a fast start in the league. Tibbs, I do want to point out, he's still Tibbs. As I noted in the top of the show, Julius Randle leads the league in minutes. I mean, we know Tibbs teams are Tibbs teams. And honestly, that work ethic, that fire, that energy, that Tibbs-ness is part of why this team is succeeding so
Yeah.
well. They brought him in for a reason. They didn't want him to be a completely different person.
Right.
But again, like Julius Randle, people can evolve, right? People can tweak things. And I think it's a great lesson that even what did the old dog, new tricks?
Yeah.
Old coaches, new tricks line with Tibbs has really been interesting too, and says a lot about the Knicks as a whole and sort of how they're approaching things as a franchise now. Nobody is ever finished. Nobody is ever done. They keep working, and you can see that on the court. Let's switch gears over to the Lakers side because Anthony Davis expected to return to the lineup tonight against the Mavericks. First time since Valentine's Day with a calf strain, Achilles issues, tendinosis in his right leg. If he plays, and he does expect to, this will be his first game playing without LeBron this season. So, Matt, what are your expectations for AD tonight and Saturday night? Because these teams are going to meet again on ABC, 8:30 Eastern. When they face each other, you got Luka and the Mavs, AD, but no LeBron.
Not high expectations from a standpoint. We know how great AD is. Right now, I think it's about coming back, getting his wind, getting bumped around a little bit, reacting. Because a lot of times with the injuries, when you're going through rehab, everything is kind of premeditated. Like, I know I'm going to have to cut here. I know I'm going to have to cut here. The game is going to be live action, so he's going to have to actually react to situations. And I think that's what a lot of people want to see. But I'm sure he's on a tight minute restriction. And my whole thing with this team is as long as they're healthy, doesn't matter what seed they are, they're going to be one of the favorites. And like I said, I just think AD is going to come back and try to get some sort of rhythm and win tonight. And, don't expect crazy numbers because it's not that time yet.
Yeah.
Rachel, I cannot stress how important these two games are. It's not a coincidence that AD's coming back for these games in Dallas. If they even win one out of these two, I think they feel pretty good about avoiding the play-in tournament.
Right.
But if they drop both these games to Dallas, you can go from the 5th seed to the 7th seed real fast. And Dallas is the team chasing you.
I was going to say, they're very important to Dallas, too, because Dallas, as we heard from Luka Doncic and from Mark Cuban, apparently not very interested in being in the play-in tournament. So it's going to be a war, these two games,
but
right?
I'm scared to death if worst case scenario they'll happen to lose and be a play-in tournament, and then they're a 7th or 8th seed with Utah or Phoenix at the top. I'm scared to death if I'm those teams because, like I said, a healthy Laker team is the best team in the West.
Yeah, I guess, but in a one-night scenario or a two, you never know. We see it in the NCAA tournament, right? That when it's only one game to get in, or maybe even 2 wins to get in, then it becomes a little bit more rocky. We will keep track of that. But coming up later in this,
He's one of the great young players in the game.
This is a hell of a road trip for Phoenix, though.
Yeah.
Good wins. Milwaukee, no Philly.
hell of an everything for Phoenix, right? The last week, the last month, the whole season. It's been so good. Our resident Suns fan on our staff, our researcher Michael Schwartz, he's just smiling. He's been so happy this year. All right, Miss Hometown Rims. Just a little more than 10 seconds later, same game, CP3 missing the free throw, up by 3 with less than a second left. And we showed you this at the top. Embiid almost pulling off the miracle from 94 feet. How do you feel, Matt?
That's a great shot. I mean, if it would have went in, obviously it would have probably been the shot of the year, shot of the last.
That was all the way down. Look how far down that went.
The cylinder.
Yeah.
Now that, by the way, this is on the bottom of the screen. No, he would not have won an MVP on that shot. Producers
Like a Heisman pose right there.
but
That's
it would have
amazing.
been a fun thing. And now I can hear
that's
everyone
a
in
soccer
Denver.
player
He
right there.
missed it, so he should never be at me.
I didn't grow up playing football or baseball or anything. I don't even know you know how to throw like that. That's pretty good.
Meg showing off Grizz clips. Watch the fancy handles from Ja.
Ooh.
Look at that little fake out.
Oh,
Fake out.
Oh.
Then drilled the 3 over Zubac.
poor Zoo.
I
He
mean-
was like, just don't fall down. Please don't fall
Right.
down.
I know. We were trying to rank who the most fun players to watch in the NBA this season.
Definitely one of
Where Ja's in the top 5, right?
There's no question.
Oh, yeah.
And they got, what's his name back, too?
Jaren Jackson
Jaren
Jr.
Jackson's back now, too. Happy to see that.
I like that Lou Williams head nod right there.
He's like, yeah,
Yeah, okay.
I see it.
Man, he saw the big guy out there like, oh.
I know. So it's on-court moves like this. It's, of course, the dunks. It's the dunks that don't make it. But my
Right.
favorite is watching him trash talk because this young man is scared of absolutely
Nothing.
no one. All right, Miss Everything. Warriors, Wizards. Real nice ISO here from Andrew Wiggins.
Oh.
And all that, too.
Hey, that-
Airball the
That is an
number.
air ball, and normally you want to talk. That is a hell of a move and a very
Right?
skilled, difficult move that he put on. I mean, look at the guy didn't even put his brakes on. He's just like, all right, you got me. He just happened to airball the shot. But that's a hell of a move by Wiggins.
Yeah, I mean,
Got to make it though. Or
I
at least hit
don't
the
want to
rim.
say anything too mean. That could be something real mean. I mean, look, it's such a good move. It looks good. It looks like it should be an all-star, and then it's an air ball.
You know what I have to say? Look out for the Washington Wizards, people.
6 in a row. 6 in a row for the Wizards. There you
Second
go.
longest win streak in the league. Yes, Ramona, 6 in a row there. Shut down the previously on fire Steph Curry last night. His streak of 30-point nights is over now. Right? Big reason for their success has been the improved play of Russell Westbrook. He notched another triple-double last night. Clearly not struggling with his confidence either, because when is he? Check out what he said after the game.
My job changes every night, and I feel like I'm one of those players that if I need to defend at a high level, I can do that too. If I need to score at a high level, I can do that. Pass, I can do that. Rebound, I can do that. You want me to coach, I can do that too. I just feel like I can do everything.
All right.
Matt, you heard the man. Would you like to be coached by Russell Westbrook?
Probably not coached. I would have loved to play with someone like Russ. I mean, if you're going to war, Russ is someone you guys take. I think he's undervalued and underappreciated, and he's made the triple-double look so easy that I don't think we appreciate how actually hard they are now. I mean, he's on the verge of breaking Oscar Robinson's record. I'm not sure how many, I think 12 or 11 away from breaking his record, but Russ is one of those guys, no matter what, you know what kind of effort you're going to get from him when he's on the court. And he took a bad situation. People thought, man, is he going there to end his career? And turned it into a situation where, 6 wins in a row. I think they're in the 10th spot right now and playing really well, him and Brad Beal.
So, Russ has always been able to do all of that. He's always had that full game. The question was, does he know how to pick his spots? Does he know how to do all of it in one game and when he should do all of it? And I think as he gets older, and we've had a lot of questions about whether his athleticism will translate as he gets older, that's what the key for him is going to be in the second part of his career here, in the latter stages of his career. Can he defend and also score? Can he defend and also have enough energy to get those 20 rebounds like he did last night? In the past, he's put so much on himself to score, to be the number one guy, to carry the team. And I think a lot of his coaches and a lot of his former teams would say, hey, you don't need to do all of that.
All of it, right.
We need you to save yourself, right? We don't need you.
We don't need you to try that three-pointer.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, as you get, can you downshift and still have, the same impact on the game as you had when you were in fact? Because Russ has always been a guy that's played 100 miles an hour, So now you're seeing him picking and choosing his spots, and it shows. You still see how explosive he is because he's not running 100 miles an hour now. He's taking his time and pacing himself, and then when he has to take off, he still has it. So, again, I think we need to put more respect on Russ's name, but he's had a great season.
It's so interesting because, Ramona, you remember that Royce Young piece from a few years ago where he talked about some of the ways that Russ is kind of famously inflexible. Has to park in the same spot every day, has to have his sandwiches cut in a certain diagonal direction. But that being said, he has shown tremendous flexibility for what his team needs when. And that was actually one of the most impressive things to me about his MVP season. The way he stepped up his performance in the clutch, the way he shifted his shot profile in that season. And then we saw some regression from that of being willing to be that flexible. Matt, what is the journey as you age in this league to kind of accept, hey, this is changing for me and I need to make changes too?
It's important, and you have to, like you said, the last part, you have to adapt your game to where you're at as an individual. Obviously, our minds, the older we get, the sharper our minds are, but just our bodies don't follow. And that's one thing Kobe said. He's like, my mind is sharp as ever, just my body can't keep up. You know what I mean? So I think Russ is one of those guys, probably the most explosive point guard we've ever seen in the history of the game. How is he going to be able to? His game is going to change with his age, and he's doing a great job. I mean, I think that obviously the points per game are down, but everything else is up. And to think a point guard grabbing 20 rebounds, like I said, I just don't think we appreciate that because it doesn't happen.
Do you know what the answer is? If it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
Right.
Young, welcome to The Jump.
Hi. Hey, Rachel. How you doing?
It's so nice to see you back here on the show, and I especially appreciate you dropping in after that ankle sprain last night. Third quarter against the Knicks. It was a little scary watching you leave the court there, but you tweeted after the game you felt pretty lucky. Give us the update. What happened post-game in terms of the doctors checking you out, and what happened when you woke up this morning?
Yeah, thankfully I had my ankle braces on. It definitely stopped it from going and twisting a little bit more. And I thought it could have been worse. But it feels a lot better. It's still sore. I'm getting an MRI here in a little bit to see if there's any more, but a lot better than what it felt in the moment for sure.
Well, that is very, very good news because you guys don't want anything to disrupt the sort of momentum that you've had over these last few weeks. By the way, before we talk Hawks big picture, when you talk about protective, gear you've got, like the ankle stuff, you're rocking some pretty sweet goggles to protect from that eye injury you suffered last weekend. I just need to know if the goggles are here to stay as well.
Yeah. The goggles is something I had to try. Something we had to come up with. To help protect my eye. Got hit against the Bulls earlier this week, and just had to go with something new. I don't know if it's a good look or not, but I needed it for protection.
I don't know. We can see if you can play in sunglasses. I mean, we can look into this stuff for you, Trey.
Okay. We need the different tints for sure.
Exactly. Now, look, this would be your first trip to the playoffs if you guys continue the way you're going. The Hawks are in the 5th spot, just a half game behind the Knicks. So how does it feel to be this late in the season and now playing with these playoff implications? New experience for you guys.
It feels a lot better. It feels a lot better than the previous years, obviously. Winning a lot more games. Matter a lot more too, and you feel it. Each game matters, and we're approaching each game and taking each game seriously. And I think it's shown recently, and hopefully we can get guys back. Hopefully we have a lot of guys still injured, and then me going down last night. We gotta get some guys back healthy before the playoffs. But I think we're on the right track.
That track really has gotten a boost from your new coach, Nate McMillan. Look, Eastern Conference best 18-7 since his hire. Atlanta also has the best offensive efficiency in the conference overall in that time span as well. What are some of the specific things Nate has been working with you guys on that has led to this kind of success?
I mean, it's been a big collective unit. I mean, Nate has came in and done a really good job. I'm just giving a lot of guys confidence, and everybody's just playing free, and everybody's just playing for each other, and it's been a big collective unit. And you can tell the chemistry everybody's playing with, and the joy everybody's having right now, and it's fun, especially when you're winning. That makes it a lot better.
When he first took over, what conversations did you and he have about your role, what he wanted from you, his confidence in you?
I mean, he wanted to use me as a weapon, and he has a lot of confidence in me, and he just wants me to be me, and just to continue to be a leader and grow in certain areas, and he's just continuing to push me and give me a lot of really good advice too.
Well, I want to switch gears a little bit here because after a jury found former police officer Derek Chauvin guilty on 3 counts for the murder of George Floyd, you posted on Twitter, quote, "long overdue," and then you followed up with the message, quote, "way more work to do." So what does that work entail for you?
I mean, for me, after seeing what happened and hearing the verdict, I mean, my thoughts were obviously excited for a second, and excited that some accountability was shown, and so that was the main thing for me, and I was excited for it at the moment, but also sad because we had to lose a life for it, and for me, that's the thing, that we have way more work to do as far as a society and a country, as far as moving forward and trying to get away from this racial and inequality and injustice system that's going on. And for me, I just feel like there's way more work to do.
Look, the Hawks, real leaders over this last year in the fight for civil rights, the fight for voting rights, and it has made a difference. We have seen it have implications going all the way to the U.S. Congress. So your team is making a difference, and you, my friend, are headed to the NBA playoffs. Good luck with the ankle. I hope the MRI goes okay. And the rest of the way here, we will see you in the postseason. Always fun when you drop by, Trey.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me, Rachel.
Back-to-back games starting tonight. By the way, you saw there one of his many nicknames, the Matador.
Yeah.
El Matador? I don't know. I'm not.
It'll get better.
It'll get.
Yeah.
They called
Luka,
him,
man.
well, they called him Wonder Boy
Yeah.
when he was
It's
really
better
young.
than the
That's a good
penguin.
one.
It's better than the penguin.
The Penguin
It's
being
the worst
yes.
nickname ever.
So bad. Look,
Andre
he hasn't
Drummond
had-
trying to fight off the Penguin, and we're with you, Andre. We are not going to let that stick to you, we promise. All right, I want to turn our attention, guys, to Steph Curry. His streak of scoring at 30 points did end last night against the Wizards after 11 games. But, Matt, seeing what your old teammate has done over this past month, would you bet against him in a play-in scenario? Because the Warriors are in a virtual tie with the Spurs for those last 2 play-in spots.
As you guys mentioned earlier, one game, anything can happen. Obviously, this team has been riddled by injuries, and their strengths are no longer there outside of Dre and Steph. But, the way to see both those guys play, obviously Steph takes the numbers, and that's what stands out to you. But Draymond does a lot of the little stuff that keeps that team going. So they're going to be a tough team in this play-in situation. I'm definitely going to take them in the play-in situation.
I'd take him in that first game.
Yeah,
Right,
after
the
that.
possible Spurs.
Yeah, I'd take him against the Spurs. But I
What
don't-
about a Luka
Memphis,
Steph
Dallas,
in the
dude.
second game of a play-in? The play-in's
Yeah.
going to be good, people.
But you want to have the best player on the court in these situations. And as great as Luka is, as great as Ja is, Steph is the best player, whatever team they play. So it's going to be interesting. But I think as far as rosters and
Yeah.
surrounding talent, I would agree with you, Rach. Or
Yeah, I mean, look, to me, the Warriors are a team Steph Curry's carrying them. He's averaging 40 points in April. I mean, there's just a handful of players who've done that in this league at all, to average 40 points in a whole month. So I know he cooled off a little bit last night, but he can't do it all by himself. They have to play defense. They have to get contributions from some of their role players. Draymond's got to have big nights. And I think the takeaway that I've had from Steph this year is like, please get this man some help.
Well, yes.
Get this man a team around him, because we are witnessing. He's 33 years old. He's got 2 or 3 really good seasons left.
And that it's not going to all be fixed just
Yeah.
by Klay Thompson
Right.
coming
That's right.
back.
Yeah,
James
you're right.
Wiseman now, we don't know what his injury return is going to be like, how
Well-
long that will take. But they did, look, I think the front office knows they need to make.
Yeah, look, some of that is James Wiseman is a really talented player. He's a young player, and he didn't play Summer League last year. They didn't have a training camp. This injury, I just checked on, he's not going to play Summer League again this year.
No, he's
because
not.
of that
And by
injury.
the way, barely played in college. So,
Yeah.
like, you really cannot judge what he's going to be at. But because of that, that means that development is going to take time. And I don't know if for next season you can count on that. And as you say, Ramona, he's 33 years old. It's been incredible what he is doing. But there just is no player in the history of basketball who has been able to be that good forever, including Michael Jordan. Like, you just, at some point, you drop off.
I think their strength, all the two, and I think we overlooked, was their bench.
Yep.
Their bench was very high IQ with vet players that have been there and been through the wars with other teams. So they brought that experience to the Golden State team. So this is just a very young team with, older superstars. Getting Klay back is not going to fix everything, but I really like management over there, and I think they always have a trick up their sleeve. So don't be surprised if they pull off some kind of trade that's going to put them back in the conversation for next season.
Well, they have
do you-
assets.
Yes,
They
they
do.
do.
Okay, you have James Wiseman is a great young player. They also have a 60% chance of getting Minnesota's pick this year.
Yes, they do.
60% chance. Minnesota could finish with the worst record in the league. If they fall in the top 3 there, I mean, it's
If they
only
don't-
top
yeah,
3 protected,
protected.
okay? It's only top 3 protected. There's a 60% chance that the Warriors get their pick, and it'll be 4th or 5th in this draft, which is a pretty deep draft class.
Yeah. Ramona, do you know any vets who brought their playoff experience to the Warriors and made that bench strong and won a ring? Oh, yeah, look, right there.
Oh, there you
There. There you go. Jump! Wednesday, Nets coach Steve Nash said KD could return to game action as soon as this weekend. Quote, he is day-to-day, so I think Friday or Sunday are very possible. Matt, how cautious should the Nets be with KD? Remember, he has that thigh bruise.
I don't think this is as severe thigh bruise as other people have had, but
Yeah.
I think selfishly we all want to see the three amigos get together and play. But similar to the Lakers, if this team is healthy going into the playoffs, they're going to be the favorites in the Eastern Conference.
Well, Rachel, there's cautious, and then there's Nets cautious.
Right.
Covered enough of their games this
I
year.
get it, though. Like, look, seeing
Yeah.
as how things have gone, I get it. And look, they just had a big setback with James Harden, it sounds
Yeah.
like. So you don't want to also have a setback with Kevin Durant, especially after everything he's been through. I will say that we had a show within a show for the Knicks called Three's Company, and we haven't gotten to display or play it like at all because they've only played like 6.5
Right.
games
Come and
together.
knock on our door.
So just please, for the sake of the jump, can we get the guys?
I want to sing that song. Yeah.
There we go. Jaren Jackson Jr., let's talk about him. Finally made his NBA season debut. Remember, he underwent meniscus surgery back in August. He finished with 15 points, 8 rebounds, 4 blocks in 18 minutes. Now, it was a loss to the Clippers, but Ramona, how good is it to see him back in the lineup? Just
Yeah.
that talent. It's
It has been a minute. It has been too long since he's out there, since Triple J has been out there. And look, I want to see him and Ja together for an extended stretch of games here because Memphis is ready to go. Memphis has a great team. The fact that they've been able to hold it down, that they're in the mix for this play-in game without him all year, that's impressive. And you got to give a lot of credit to Ja, to Taylor Jenkins, and the whole coaching staff there.
He's one of the bright young players that people may not know about. This kid is extremely talented, inside out. He's got an edge to him. And like I said, I'd love to continue to see him and Ja develop their chemistry because they're going to be a nice 1-2 punch for a while.
absolutely. And look, there was a point early in the season with injuries, including to Ja, where people thought, oh, maybe it's smarter in this shortened season.
Yeah.
Tank a little bit, right? But
Yeah,
that was a little bit of the.
Read those stats again. Eight rebounds, 4 blocks in
I know.
18 minutes.
I know,
Right.
right?
15 points in 18 minutes.
And people don't understand how hard it is to come back into a setting like that. He didn't have any preseason. He didn't have any warm-up games. To come back and get 15 points and 8 rebounds and 4 blocks in an NBA game and you haven't played in that amount of time is very hard to do.
Yes.
A lot of people that play consistently don't get that. So
Well, they will need every bit of his play because they are also right now marked for a play-in spot.
Yep.
So they're gonna the competition's
wouldn't wanna
gonna
play the
come
Grizz in
quick,
the play-in game.
right? So I think again the play-in's gonna be good. Overtime Sports Inc. raising $80 million in funding to pursue plans of a high school basketball league, tapping into the broader interest in non-fungible tokens to sports betting. Investors consist of Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, Reddit co-founder Alexis Ohanian, Serena
Serena's
Williams'
husband,
husband,
yeah.
right? That's how we'll call him.
He would own that too.
Look, dude, I
Yeah.
mean, if you're affiliated with Serena Williams, you own that. Drake, Pau Gasol, Devin Booker, 23 current and former NBA players investing this. So, Matt, we were just talking about your boys during the break. You've got 12-year-old twins. As a father of young hoopers, how viable are alternative routes like this for you? I mean, you played in college.
this is tricky because I think obviously you can't tell any parent that their kid is not going to professional
Right.
ranks no matter what it is. But I think it's also it's tough. I think it's going to be successful because, I mean, the money they have and the minds they have behind it's going to be fun. I'm a big fan of the overtime platform, but it's also, like I said, you're missing out on a lot because you're having these kids thinking there's just not enough space for all these kids to go to the NBA, all these kids to go to college. And,
Right.
and that's what this is for exposure. But if you're good enough, they're going to find you no matter where you're at. So I'm hoping the best. Like I said, I'm a big fan of the overtime platform. The investors and the mind power behind their money, the strategic money they have is going to be great. But this is going to be a situation we're just going to have to watch and see.
You know, we've talked about the NCAA and the reasons you go to college and not go to. For years, it has been the only option.
Yes.
It's been the only thing you can do coming out of high school, go play in college for a year, and then go to the NBA. Now we have a couple different options. We have this, and you have the G League Ignite team for the top high school players in the country.
Yep.
So that's, I don't know, capitalism. There's
Yes.
other options.
And look,
Not a monopoly anymore.
Right, and I mentioned this before, having a different route besides the AAU system,
Yeah. Yep.
where, frankly, some parents have to really spend, not get,
Yep.
spend money for their elite talent and their kids to be able to develop. I've told this story. Chris Paul says that his father had to cash in his entire pension so that Chris and his brother CJ could play basketball
Wow.
in high school at the level that Chris would need to develop, to go to Wake, to obviously go on to have the career he had. Imagine if, I mean, knock wood, it didn't happen, fortunately, but if Chris had had some major injury
Right.
in college, like that would have been
Right.
it. That family's future could have been wiped out because they have to pay. There's an entry fee now to develop your kid. So anything that's an alternative to that, I think, is good for the game. All
Wake
right,
up,
our league,
NCAA.
yeah. Our League Pass game of the night, Suns Celtics. Devin Booker scored 36.2 points per game as a visiting player at Boston in his career. So basically, he likes being in the Garden. That's the most of any player in NBA history, and it, of course, includes that career-high 70-point effort in 2017. But when you look at both teams' rosters, who would you rather have, Suns or Celtics, Matt?
Tough question. CP is a good friend of mine. I love Book, but I'm taking Boston because they've been there. They've done that. I think a lot's going to ride on Kemba Walker's shoulders this year. He's got to be that consistent third factor to help this team go. But hats off to the Suns, man. They've had a great season. I'm excited to see what they do in the playoffs.
Great. I'm going to say Phoenix.
Ooh.
Because you saw that graphic?
Yeah.
What comes after those 5? And that's been the problem with Boston all year. Like, their top 5 are good, but not much depth on that team. And I think the Suns have a lot more depth. They have a three-headed monster there with Ayton and we didn't even talk about Jay Crowder there too. They have some good vets on that team too.
Solid bets.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny what you say about Kemba. I do think how he goes will go
That's
for
how
the
they go.
Celtics. I
Yep.
saw him in person on Saturday night. He told me that